Okay, so what I've been thinking about recently is how I did originally want to teach at the 10th or 11th grade level for English because I personally loved high school English in that period of time, but I've been placed in 8th grade right now,
Yeah.
right? And 8th grade honestly turns out a lot more fun than I thought because I remember when I was in 8th grade, that was the most fun year of school because there's no consequences, honestly. Like you're not really worried about like college entrances. Exams are really not that hard. Just really playing with your friends. So I realized that yeah, 8th grade has a lot of nostalgic value to me. But the thing is, I realized that 8th grade is a weird age where some of them are like kids, like still like children. I see them walking around classrooms, and they're very just young feeling. Like one kid carries on his like manga books and just like his manga backpack and just keychain and stuff, and got super excited when I knew like what those characters were. Whereas some of them are like trying to be really grown up.
Yeah.
So even though they're like 12, 13 years old, like they have this air of like, I'm a grown up now. I'm the top of my junior high school and I don't need your help. I know the world. And it's a weird like mix of, I guess, kids and adult right now. But it's been fun. So what I want to ask you then is, in your eyes, what do you think is the most difficult part of being a teacher at around that age? What was it like for you at the time?
You're asking what's the most difficult part of teaching eighth grade?
Yeah, and you like in your thinking, let's say,
Uh-huh.
what would be difficult about teaching 8th grade?
Well, like you said, in eighth grade, nobody is serious. That could be a good thing and bad thing. But if we're talking about what could be difficult, yeah, nobody is serious in eighth grade. And I don't think for the topic of the subject English, I don't think there are many kids who are passionate about like, oh yeah, I love the English subject. I want to be a writer, something like that. I don't think you'll find many of those kids that early either who have like such a passion and who really like it. It's just I'm at school. I'm just here to play with my friends. To catch their attention might be a lot more difficult. Or you might have to just go about it in more creative ways than for 10th and 11th grade because their comprehension or like maturity to understand certain subject matters, that you talk about in English might not be there yet for them. But that might be really good because it could start, if you're like a really great teacher, it could start really opening them up. But I guess that's a good thing still.
Well, I mean, I know one thing we're kind of learning about these days, or
Yeah.
since last semester, is that Common Core, which is like the new overview or overarching like educational system that we're living in now, doesn't really emphasize literature all that much. So they call it English language arts, which means it's all about like reading and writing, which is great.
Yeah.
But not a lot about like fiction or like stories
Yeah.
or like engaging kids in like things that's not just information.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of the kids that as they're reading, they're doing more like informative reading,
Yeah.
articles about stuff, history, current events, things like that. But not so much about imagination and like creative writing. I realize from what I've seen anyway.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that I know the teacher commented on too is that there's rarely going to be English teachers going forward
Yeah.
because there's no kids that thoroughly enjoy
Yeah.
fiction in
Yeah.
written form anymore.
Yeah.
Like there's movies, there's games,
yeah.
there's anime and stuff like that, but not a lot of page turning English from school that they
Yeah.
learned. So if you ask them like, so what was your favorite book in the last year? I feel like they'd have no preference.
Yeah.
Like they might have liked it and they didn't hate it, but it's not like, oh my God, this sparked like a awakening of my curiosity of English or literature or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So I think for sure there's been a shift in like focus
Yeah.
for this class they're in.
Like, even adults don't read for fun anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people read books, but like people listen to podcasts, people are just on Netflix. Yeah, books are just really not being read as much. Like they're always like, oh, no one reads books, but it's just getting worse and worse.
I feel like people wait for the movie.
Yeah.
Like if I hear like there's a new book by Agatha Christie or whoever, some famous author, I know if it's worth reading, it'll be made into a movie within 5 years.
Yeah.
So I feel like people have gotten used to having someone else
Yeah.
suggest what a good book is to them
Yeah.
and make something out of it.
Yeah.
But they won't go randomly to like Barnes and Noble and just buy a book
Yeah.
just out of the blue on recommendation or
Like
whatever.
at most people listen to like audiobooks. Like
Yeah.
me.
Even that. It's like I've tried that.
Yeah.
It's not the same for me. I feel very old school that way. But when I do audiobooks and you just listen to like 30 minutes or 40 minutes, I don't know where I am in the book. And they tell you like chapter 1, blah, 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 but it's not the same to me. I don't feel like I'm making progress because it's just like listening for like however long.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me like, oh, did you actually read that book? I wouldn't want to say I listened to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that counts. But I know a lot of kids now are like, they do read it, but they didn't really read it. Like they don't retain anything about it. Even though like if they watch a movie, you know, they can tell you the plot and the characters and like all these things.
I mean, I think I retain audiobooks, but okay.
No, I'm saying like kids now though.
Yeah.
Like, because again, we're a little bit on the older side, but I feel like for kids, after they read a story and they're done with the exercises or whatever,
Yeah.
if you ask them like, so what did you read like 3 years ago? I feel like they wouldn't know. So, like even for me, like I know I read some of these books that I look over now these days, but I can't tell you what they're about. I know I own them. I know I read through all of it from cover to cover years ago. Some I remember, but a lot of them I don't.
Yeah, I think most people feel that way about books that they just had to read in school for assignments.
Yeah.
But that's just what it is. And some people, it'll be really memorable. Certain books will be really memorable to some people, and that's what it is. And
Yeah. But I mean, I think just off of that though, I feel like that love of books is definitely more rare
yeah.
than the average kid used to be back in the day. Because now there's so many things to like get their attention, how to spend their time, and there's so many other sources of media that like a book, like I don't know what kid would grab for a book first.
Like, I don't even know how you would get them to read the book. Like, let's say you assign a book for reading, like read chapters 1 and 2 this week. I don't even know how you would actually make them do the assignment. Especially like 8th grade, they don't care about the grade, right? I feel like none of them would read it, like, to be dead honest. And if there's like a movie or something, they'll just go watch the movie.
I mean, so I feel like we haven't started the actual book yet for the semester, but in class, what it seems like is that we're going to be just doing it in class. Like, not for homework, because she said, like, no kids read it at home anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, while you're physically watching them read it, maybe that'll work.
Yeah.
Like, today we're going to read the first 3 pages of this book.
Yeah.
But not like a go home and read a whole chapter kind of situation like it was back in the day. Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like, I know right now, like, we're spending an entire class period doing 1 paragraph each at a time. So that's where it is right now.
Yeah.
So they go, okay, where's the setting, the characters, the plot? But it takes like 40 minutes to do
Oh my gosh.
10 lines, basically. So if you tell them, hey, read a chapter by tomorrow, I can't imagine like how unlikely that is.
Yeah. Also, I guess that there was your con of teaching 8th grade. It's just that no one wants to actually care or do the work.
Yeah, but how do you change that though? Because I feel like there's no real like incentive anymore. Because I know like if you tell them like how fast okay, how about this? So I know kids right now can recognize words, they see it in print, like online or whatever, but they can't spell it.
Oh.
And the teacher's been complaining about that too, because things like Thursday, Wednesday, like simple math,
That's crazy.
like they can see it and they go, oh, Wednesday, and they know the word, but if you tell them how do you spell that, they don't spell it anymore.
Because they don't write and read.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's one of those things like, where do you... Because even if you make like progress in 8th grade, let's say, like you're the amazing teacher that, you know, instills in them this wonderful spirit of reading or whatever, when they hit like 9th grade then, it's like, what does that teacher do? If they just lose all that progress, they just go right back to doing like information articles or whatever from the internet.
Do you mean they do that? Like in other English classes?
Do what in other English
Just
classes?
do like internet information articles?
Yeah. Oh, that's a large portion of ELE right now.
Oh.
So even when I did the C sets,
Yeah.
a third of the test was on that. Reading articles about advertisements, trying to figure out what this person meant, what things they don't include in the article. And it's English, but it's like just things you would learn as a human anyway.
I
like
mean, that
advertisements.
is important, but I see what the problem is.
Like, I don't want to spend class time doing that.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, like, I learned all that stuff outside of class.
Yeah.
Just like
they all know how to do that
just
already.
living.
Yeah.
But then I feel like they're spending class time doing that because they're kind of told to.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the standards now. And I feel like that's a waste of opportunity to learn other things. Okay, I think we're good.